Welcome to Stress Mess, a stressless podcast where the chaos is real, the caffeine is strong, and swearing sometimes happens, and that's okay. I'm Samantha Elizabeth, health and wellness coach, chronic overthinker, and proud BFFs to stress itself. Here we're ditching perfection, embracing unfiltered real talk, and making mindset shifts that might just keep us from screaming into the void. Let's get messy. Today's episode is one you're going to love. I'm joined by my friend Mila Clarke, founder of Hangry Woman and a voice reshaping how we think about health and nutrition. We dive into her journey through a diabetes misdiagnosis, the power of mindset, and how she turned her story into support for others. You'll also hear about her app, Glucose Guide, and maybe a few cat interruptions along the way. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome. So I actually just wanted to start off by talking about how we met. I think that would be a great place to start. But I definitely want to get into Hangry Woman as well too, because I remember when you came out with that brand so many years ago. Maybe it was even before we met, but I remember when you came out with that brand, and it was such a word that people were using a lot during that time. And so I was so happy to see that you actually grabbed that, and really took off with it. So let's get there. But first of all, how we met. It was 2016.
Yeah, 2016. I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, how long ago was that? And I cannot believe it was almost 10 years ago.
I cannot believe it either. Really. Isn't that crazy how time flies so much, especially as you get older? It seems to go faster and faster. Yeah. I remember when I was 10 and it felt like I lived 100 years at that point or something, and now it's kind of I still look at 1990s as only 20 years ago,
Yeah, it's so insane. And we, my partner and I are always laughing when our daughter makes these comments oh, this is taking forever. I had such a long walk and we only had to walk a quarter of a mile to get somewhere or something. And we're just just you wait. Once you get older, you're going to see just how fast it all goes by, and you're going to be wishing that it took longer and wishing that time went slower. It's just so crazy to think that it's been that long.
Yeah. And I wonder what's the psychology behind that? Because like I said, sometimes it feels like the days drag on, the years drag on, but as you get older, it seems like it goes by quicker and quicker. And I'm just wondering what happens in our brains. And not that we're going to answer that question. If you guys are watching on the video too, you can see that my cat is just loving on me right now. This is Daisy Bell, everybody. And she is just absolutely will not leave me alone today. This is the kind of cat she is, that she's a very lovey cat. She's not a leave me alone kind of cat. So I apologize if she's rubbing up against the microphone here and there and everything. It's a cat. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not, like I said, not we're going to answer that question of what's the psychology behind the years seeming to go by quicker and quicker every year, or even, every day too. And I know there was a quote that I read one time that says the days are long, but the years go by quick, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that is so true. Sometimes it feels like the days are going by so slow and you're just wow, and I don't know, but why are we in a hurry? You know what I mean? To end a day or to get to our next big event or something like that. I guess sometimes it's hard. I know I have, some friends and we're oh man, we're going to meet later in the week and everything. And it just feels like the week drags on where it's feels so far away, but then of course it's only just days away.
Yeah. It just all happens right in front of us so quickly. It's crazy. I have this, in front of me, you can't see it, but I have this kind of wall of Post-it notes that's stuck to my desk, and it's all of the things that I want to accomplish for the year. And as I accomplish them for the year, I'm able to kind of pull them off and see what's left in the next year. And just looking at that list, I'm I can't believe that almost 7 months has gone by, or almost 6 months has gone by at this point. Like, how are we halfway through 2025?
Oh, I
I didn't even
know.
think this year would get here. And I'm just like, how is it already? We're already like blasting halfway through.
It
Crazy.
is so true because I feel like I was just doing posts about New Year's resolutions and thinking about like how people can get back on track in February and March when people give up on their New Year's resolutions. And I'm like, and I never made those posts, and now it's like way too late. But it is like it's mid-year check-in. Like, how's your year going so
Yeah.
far? Have you accomplished things? And I know for me, I have been for the last couple of weeks, I've kind of taken a pause on creating a lot of content to be able to sit back and strategize and feel like, where am I going? And when that kind of happens, that year shift or that half year shift, like that's when you want to check in with yourself on your personal
Yeah.
goals, maybe on your business or career goals, and, find out like, are you where you need to be, for the year? I also do feel too that, and some companies don't go by the calendar year when they talk about fiscal year,
Yeah.
but, as a somebody like, you might look at it and say, I don't need to necessarily go by the calendar year. Like I can look at my year, I can look at it month by month or even week by week or something like that of the things that you want to accomplish during that time and not feel like December 31st, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't accomplish what I needed to for this year, to look at
Yeah.
it that way. I know when I work with coaching clients, I always say, what's your Monday, and it's not necessarily Monday day. It can be like, if I have a coaching session with them on Wednesday, let's just say Wednesday is the start of their week. It's for them to
Yeah.
refocus, reset, and say, okay, so how can I make this next week until the next Wednesday, actually do it? Anyway, we're getting down in the weeds on time and that sort of thing. But yeah, 2016, that was a pivotal year for myself because I had just been laid off from my corporate job, the job that I thought I was going to be in for the rest of my career, and I was going to retire with that company. And so it came as a shock for me to suddenly feel like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? So I became a yes man, started saying yes to anything that popped up and, coming my way. And one of the things was social media day. And, that was an event in Houston. We're bringing together people that are in marketing, PR, and that are just interested in learning more about social media.
Yeah.
And I attended that with a completely open mind. I really had no agenda to why I was there, other than I really wanted to learn more about social media because I'm thinking, well, I kind of use it in my personal life. I don't know a lot about marketing in social media and how to build communities in social media, so I did that. And then because I worked for a profitable corporation before, they had different tracks that you can go on for education. And I saw the nonprofit track. And so that's the one that I went on. So I said, I really want to explore nonprofits. I really want to explore what does that look like in Houston. And so that's where we met because at the time you were working for, it went by a different name.
It did.
But
Oh my gosh. The fact that you even remember that is like so
it was
crazy.
but I'm like, it was the neighborhood centers before?
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was their social media team, basically. Like I did everything social media, everything digital. So if it came down to the website, came down to video, came down to writing and social photography, like I was doing all of those things
Gosh.
on my tiny one woman team.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we had a team that was amazing. Like everyone was a specialist in what they did. So like we had somebody who was like really a writing specialist, somebody who was really great with public relations and media relations. We had me who did kind of like all of the web stuff and everything that we would do online. So we just had like a lot of support in different areas, but each of us was kind of like our own shop, which was crazy. And so on that day for social media day, I was kind of talking about like ways that you can be a small team and still make a big impact. And just examples of things that we had done and like tips and tools that people could take away if they felt like I don't have as many resources as maybe like a giant brand does. What can I still do to like make good content and make, you know, like good things come about and get people to find out about my organization. So it was really cool. And I remember that day that I, because I'm like notorious antisocial person before I have to speak. Like, I'm just like, nobody talk to me. Don't look at me. Like, I'm going to be over here. I need to like be in my own little headspace. And I remember like you came over smiling face, like, hey, I saw that you're sitting alone. Can I sit with you? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so like when it was so fun, like when we were talking, you're like, oh, what do you do? And, you know, we were like kind of trading information. And I was like, I'm speaking and I'm really nervous. And you just had like the best, like, I don't know, like just the best like spirit and presence in that moment for me. Because you were the first person who was like, you're going to do amazing. Like, don't even worry about it. You're going to do great. And like, I was like, she doesn't even know me. Like, I've known her for 2 seconds and she's so positive. Like, this is awesome. Like, if I branch out, I might be able to meet more people who are really kind like this. And so it was awesome. It really like, I don't know if I ever told you that, but like you were so helpful in like helping me set my headspace for the day. Cause I was at the very end of the day, like one of the last speakers. So I was like, nobody's going to come to my session. Like, I'm just going to be up there talking to myself. And like, it was really cool to have that like reassurance from somebody who at the time was a stranger to me and that was so meaningful to me.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I linked arms with a couple of people. I'm like, let's go, you know. Like, so I think that was one of the things, and you know, it was. I mean, because after my layoff, I went down this like depression spiral and everything. And when I decided to become a yes person and you know go into that, for people that know me, I'm a pretty positive person. Now I can get out people though, meaning that like it's too much people, you know, going on and I need to like be within myself. But I'm an ambivert. I'm gonna say that wrong, but I'm also dyslexic too. So sometimes words are escaping me. But you know, that's something that, you know, I also I think generally people are amazing, you know, and you know what they do. And I know when I saw you, it was kind of like I knew you were going to do amazing because I could feel it. It's that feeling of namaste, you know, and namaste means that the light within me sees the light within you. And I knew automatically that you were going to do amazing. And you did. I mean, your presentation, like I learned so much from that. I took so many notes and I, you know, also went on to go help a couple of other nonprofits get their social medias up and going. And so that I took what I learned, you know, from your session and, you know, hopefully also spread that joy to other people as well. So it's those kind of things. So you're definitely somebody that lights a spark in people, you know, and I could see that, you know, from the beginning. So but I mean, when you came out with Hangry Woman too, I was like, yes. So tell us about that. Tell us about Hangry Woman, the start of it, you know, and what you do with that.
Yeah, so at the very beginning, it was mainly just my outlet outside of work to do something creative and fun.
Yeah.
And I really was like in this process of learning how to cook. I like knew nothing, but I was just like making stuff up along the way and I would post it on Facebook and then people would be like, well, what's the recipe? Where like how did you make this? What did you make it with? And so eventually I got sick of just responding to everybody with an individual thing of like, this is how I did it. And I was like, here's a link, just go to this place and you can get the recipe. Just type this in the search bar, you'll find it. And for the longest time, it was just something that was like creative and fun. And I started to get little like invitations to go to restaurants and like write about them and talk about them. And then I was like, okay, like I love this thing. It's really fun. And it's just going to be something that I have as a hobby. And it was something that helped me learn more about photography and videography. And then I was diagnosed with, or I was misdiagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And so I started talking about like how I was learning to live with this chronic illness and how I was learning to like cook better things and cook better for myself. And making recipes in that way. And other people with diabetes started to find me through that. And so it became like a recipe blog for the like diabetes community, which was something that like I never anticipated. I was just like, oh, I'm learning how to cook, but now I'm learning how to change how I cook also. So I'll document it and share it here. Then in 2020, I was re-diagnosed and found out that I was misdiagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I was re-diagnosed with type 1. It was completely missed by my doctors. I should have been on insulin the whole time. Oral medications weren't working for me. I was like, something is not right. I went to go get tested for autoantibodies for type 1 diabetes, and it turned out that I was misdiagnosed. Wow. And so, of course, that happens in the middle of COVID. This is like November 2020, after we're like locked up, locked in places. I'm like, something really is not going right. And like, I don't feel good, but I know it's not COVID. Like, it's not COVID symptoms. And so getting that like shift during that like huge shift for everybody on earth, for me was kind of like, well, what do I do now? Because now this isn't like a chronic illness that has the potential to go away if I work hard enough. It's always going to be there. I'm always going to have to take insulin unless there is a cure for diabetes at some point. And so it really started to, for me, like, give me that question of like, okay, well, like, what is my path forward here? Because I want to make sure that people know that this is something that can happen, but I also want to still be uplifting and still work with food, still work with, you know, like how we get people to make healthier dishes that still taste amazing, but are better for our health overall. And so I waffled for like the longest time, and then finally decided, okay, I'm going to get my master's in nutrition and become a registered dietitian. And so I had gone through a health coaching program in integrative nutrition. I loved it, but I just wanted more. And so I was like, all right, well, let's do it. And so this August, it's so crazy, like in a month, I guess, I'll graduate from my master's program, and then I have an internship after that. And once I'm done with my internship and supervised practice, I'll be eligible to get my license in dietetics. So it's still like a long path away from me, but it was really cool that just learning how to cook and wanting to know more about food, and then like getting a health condition that is really centered around how you think about food all the time, kind of led me down this path. It led me to being like, okay, I want to work with people in habit change and help people understand like how they can change their lives for the healthier and how they can keep up with those habits. But then at the same time, I was still being asked to write articles about nutrition and about food and diabetes. And so I thought like, okay, I think it's the right move and the right path for me to do something more and do something that I'm really excited about. And so it's really cool kind of in this, I feel like it's a full circle moment a little bit. Like I've finally gotten to the place where I have like learned more than I ever thought I would learn. And I'm so excited about what the path is forward and like how I can use my skills and my passions to help other people get affordable nutrition education so that they're able to live happier, healthy lives for themselves, for their families, and just like overall, like help the world be a little healthier.
Oh gosh, that is amazing though. I mean, and first of all, congratulations to, on getting to the end of your master's. I know it's a lot of work and I had considered doing it myself. As a as a health coach, do work with people on nutrition and fitness and everything, but I'm not a certified trainer. I'm not a certified nutritionist. And, those are the kind of things that I think like, is it holding me back, from, actually feeling like I can fully help people? But then I also, because I have a psychology background, I work with people more on the mindfulness or their
Yeah,
mindset, more than anything. And then also, their environments around them and everything too. Like I look around and everything. I'm in my office and it's like it's a mess in here right now. Just because I've been in strategy mode and like you, post-it notes everywhere and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
I do want to go back to the misdiagnosis though, real quick, because
yeah.
so how long had it been since they misdiagnosed you with type 2 that they re-diagnosed you with type 1, and what were the kind of the long-term effects of that treatment to type 2 to the treatment that you needed to actually have for type 1?
Yeah.
Was there do you feel like there was long-term effects for that misdiagnosis?
I think I'm lucky in two ways. So the period between my first diagnosis and then learning that I was misdiagnosed was 4 years. So I
Okay.
spent a lot of that time feeling awful, feeling lethargic, just being absolutely exhausted all the time. I was testing my blood sugars, they weren't getting better. I was like working out 2 hours a day
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, that's what they told me to do. Like, I got to go hard to like make sure that I can lose weight and like get the insulin resistance in control, and like wasn't seeing the results. Going back to my doctor and saying, okay, well, here's all of what I'm doing. It's logged, it's tracked. I have it
Mm.
on paper. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, like because my blood sugars aren't in back in range. And nothing was working for me. Like
Yeah.
all the oral medications, like cutting down carbs to like 30 grams of carbs a day. It's like just insane, crazy, drastic things to try and get my blood sugars back into balance. And it
Yeah.
wasn't working. And I was getting so frustrated with myself because I was like, it has to be me. Like, I'm doing something wrong, obviously, because it's not working.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I met somebody who had been misdiagnosed and we were talking, and she said, I think you need to have an endocrinologist test you because it doesn't sound like you got the testing. It sounds like they just diagnosed you solely on your blood sugar numbers.
Oh boy.
And there might be something else going on. And so when I met my endocrinologist, I said, somebody told me about this. He'd asked me, like, have you ever heard of LADA, the form of type 1 that I have? It's latent autoimmune diabetes in adults.
Mhm.
I was like, I've never really heard about it. Like, I just know that there is a test
Mhm.
and like I haven't had it. And so like I don't think that I've had the right treatment along the way. And then sure enough, a simple blood test. I was positive for the autoantibodies, and then they were able to say, okay, you need insulin. We have to approach your treatment in a little bit of a different way. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so cool. When can I get off of insulin? And they were like, never.
Oh, wow.
Unless there is a cure, but your body doesn't produce the insulin that it needs to make for you to be able to um, actually like get your blood sugars down. And what's happening is that your immune system is attacking your insulin producing beta cells so that your
Mm.
body can't make the insulin that it needs. So you have to inject it for the rest of
Wow.
your life. And so that was like just a wild moment in my
Yeah.
brain because I had been told for so long, if you work hard enough, if you make all of these changes, if you do all of these things, you'll never
Mhm.
have to be on insulin, and you're like, you won't have diabetes, you can reverse it.
Yeah.
And then, I get to this appointment to find out like it's not reversible for
Oh,
you.
wow. Yeah.
You are going to be on insulin as a medication for the rest of your life. And maybe there's a cure one day, maybe not. But
Yeah.
you still, like, this is your new normal and your new reality. And that was really hard for me because I was in the place where I was like, okay, I just want it to be done. Like, I
Yeah.
want to just like do whatever I have to do to not have to deal with this anymore. And then for the answer to be like, no, you're going to be dealing with this forever.
Yeah.
was It was like a total, like, it just blew my mind,
I,
because it was never something that occurred to me.
yeah. I can imagine those kind of times and the pivotal times in your life and everything, where you realize something, you realize it and you have to sit with it, there, for a while too, to reverse your mind. And I know that like, and this is, example of mine is that, going from corporate life to owning my own business, it is a completely different mindset. And it was something that I chose to do, but this is something that you did not choose. So I can only imagine how much harder it was, for you during that time to make a mindset shift that you're going in one mode and now you have to go in the almost the completely opposite mode. Still take care of yourself, but I can imagine like, how it was like it wasn't even putting the brakes on. You have to slow down before you can put your brakes on and then go in reverse,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, and
Yeah.
I find it absolutely nuts that, there are these conditions, that many people have, and they still haven't figured out a cure for them. And I'm not like in the medical field or anything like that, but there are certain things that I see that, a large percent of our population has, and generally it's just like we just have to live with it. Or there's things that people do have and they're like, I don't know what to do about that, and it, it's hard. I mean, because I
Yeah.
know there's a couple of things that I have, and the reason why I'm a stress mess is because I have a mass on my left adrenal gland that causes more cortisol than I need. And it really messes with me quite a bit. If I get a little stressed, then I get more stress. I have more cortisol pumping into my body. And the only solution would be to go in and have surgery, but they're like, we're not going to have surgery until it gets over an inch, and just little by little every year it just creeps up. So it's one of those things that I really wish that I could control it more. But in the meantime, I just have to suffer with more stress than a normal person has. And knowing that, and it's the same thing for you too, needing the insulin, you just know you just have to suffer with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I think, something that I've accepted at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's something that I ever rejected. I think,
Yeah.
like, once the first day that I actually took insulin, I was like, holy shit, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Like, my body's actually working the way that it's supposed to. And
Hmm.
so, like, that was such a relief after so long, after just
Yeah.
feeling so crappy for so long. But I
Yeah.
think that there's a certain feeling that you have, like this morning, for instance, like my insulin pump died overnight, so I had to do manual injections this morning, and I was just like, I hate this, I wish I didn't have to do it, but I know that doing
Yeah.
it keeps me alive and I want to be alive. So I'm like, let me, keep on the path. And I think that, like, there is kind of a mindset shift that you have with kind of grieving what you had before, and like
Hmm.
those days where like you didn't have to worry and think about your health like one bit. It was just kind of like you could be alive and you could focus on so many other different things.
Yeah.
And then there's that day where you're like, oh, okay, this is such a big part of my life that it's going to be something that I'm thinking about constantly and consistently. um, and so I think, like, once you realize that it's always going to be there, it kind of
Hmm.
becomes your partner rather
Yeah.
than it being something that you're fighting against
Yeah.
so much.
You're absolutely right. I mean, because when I was diagnosed as dyslexic, when I was younger, I turned it into my superpower. I ended up concentrating more on communications, more on public speaking and reading and writing and all of that kind of stuff, and math too, because, I'm both, word and numbers dyslexic. And so that's something that I turned into a superpower. So my top subjects in school were math, And, it was English too. I was really good at that. And of course, I became a communicator. And it was
Yeah.
just because I said, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let this be a weakness for me. I'm going to let it be a strength. And so this is the same kind of thing. Obviously, I have a podcast called Stress Mess because I've really embraced that I'm just a more stressed out person than other people are. And it turned it into a superpower. So it sounds like you're really turning your type 1 diabetes into a superpower. And I think that is just absolutely amazing with everything you're doing. Let me ask you too. You put out an app and all of these kind of things. You want to tell us a little bit about that? And I certainly in the show notes and everything will include all the links to that so people can really check that out.
Yeah, for sure. So, I made recipes for such a long time and people would comment on them. And I had gotten a few requests where people were like, hey, like, I would love to be able to have like a discussion with other people who are making recipes and who are just like into cooking with diabetes. And I was like, yeah, I guess like I could kind of consider how to do that if I have the ability to. And so I started thinking about this project around the time that COVID started, because like we needed other ways to connect to people. And so I went through the process of like trying to build this over and over and over. And it like didn't stick. And finally in 2023, we launched Glucose Guide, and I am so proud of it. It's this beautiful community for anyone living with diabetes, no matter the type, whether you are a caregiver to someone with diabetes, whether you're living with it yourself. We welcome everyone into the space, and it has a lot of cool features. So a part of it is coaching. So people being able to get free coaching services, to like really work on habit change and work on basic nutrition education. But then also it's a pay what you can system. So like if people want to pay $5 because that's all that they can afford, they can pay $5. If they want to pay more for it, they can pay more for it. It's kind of like whatever it's worth to you, whatever you feel like you can contribute, like help us thrive so that like we can help everyone thrive. And so it's awesome, but it also has these tools for nutrition where you can take a picture of your plate, you can take a picture of a nutrition label, and it'll give you a digest that shows you like what the glycemic index and glycemic load of that food are, how that food fits into your day and into the overall goals that you have for your health. So like if you're counting your calories, your carbs, your macronutrients, micronutrients, it allows you to be able to track all of that alongside of actually getting information about why or not it can work for your blood sugar. So it's a really cool tool. I am like over the moon about it. It is mostly free, which is awesome. And then, we ask for support in the pay what you can system. So somebody can pay what they can, pay what they want to. We're in the process of trying to get our 501c3 designation so that contributions to the community can be tax deductible for our members as well. So just wanting it to be like a safe, open, evidence-based space where people can get the information that they need, but they can also work on the steps that they need to be taking to ensure their better health, and then being able to have somebody who is there alongside them, helping them achieve these habit change goals and these milestones, and really knowing that they're getting information that is one evidence-based, one scientific, but then also that is coming from a place of somebody who just gets them and gets exactly what they're going through. So it's a big undertaking. It's a big project, but it's something I'm so passionate about and that I am so excited for. And also that I just love seeing the members in our community be like, oh my God, I finally like understood this concept about my health and it's clicking for me now. Or like, I've been having a really hard time trying to break through this barrier, but like I feel really close to it. I feel excited to actually like really try to get there. I feel like I'm supported and I have what I need. And so I love being able to just like put that in people's hands, and like the fact that we have apps on the App Store and Google Play Store. Like literally it's just a download away and the community is there whenever people need it. So it's I don't know. It's crazy to think like, oh, okay, like I built this thing, but it's so exciting because I feel like it's just such a good space for people to connect with each other, but then also to connect with resources.
That's amazing. When I think about like an ecosystem, of an effective community, you got to have the relationship. So it sounds like you really built a great community there, process. They can get coaching, through that app. And then also, the technology is definitely there, the tools that they need in order to be able to manage, their health. That is absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for putting that out, for the community, for people to be able to do better for themselves. A lot of people are lost, and we find this, quite a bit, or they don't know that they're lost. They think they're going down the right path. And then, they meet somebody and they talk to that person, and that person may or may not, have an understanding of what they're going through, but at least I apologize if anybody is watching this. My cat all of a sudden is just wanting to love on me once again. I don't know why she's being so lovey today, but anyway, it's those kind of things that, and thank you so much for building such a wonderful community too. So, what's the name of the app again?
It's called Glucose Guide. So glucoseguide.app will get you to where you need to go. But awesome. That's something that definitely I hear a lot when I ask a member, like, where did you find us? And, what made you want to join the community? Yep. And they'll say, like, I felt so lost. Like my doctor told me I had diabetes. Then they told me to eat right and exercise and to come back and see them in 3 months. And that's all they told me. They didn't give me details. They didn't give me a roadmap. They didn't ask me like what I have access to, like how am I supposed to work out if I have 4 kids and I'm a single parent and I'm trying to, take care of my household. Like, how am I supposed to fit these things in to make sure that my family is on board? And so really like working one-on-one with clients to find out, like, where are you in this part of your journey with diabetes, and how can we like eliminate the roadblocks that you have and come up with good solutions for you that are going to stick. And so that's, I think, like the thing that I love the most is seeing someone come in with such apprehension and that feeling of like, I can't do this. And then walking away after like the first or second session and being like, okay, I feel like I could do this. I could get a handle on this. And like, I feel like I've found a way to alleviate my frustration. And sometimes like, it's just that. Sometimes it's just somebody's like, I've never gotten to vent about this and I want to vent about it. And so, I think like it gives people a space just to get more information and to get like resources and tools and to know like there are like all of these things out here to help you. You just might need access to them or somebody to say, hey, did you know that this exists? So
that's amazing. And thank you so much, for doing that too. I mean, that's going to certainly help a lot of people too. And then even people that are, pre-diabetic as well, being able to help them, and support them, or people that maybe are diabetic, I mean, that is certainly helpful. And I do have, some friends that are like on the cusp that they said that like, hey, your levels are high and you're almost going into a pre-diabetic zone, and for some people, obviously that feels like a like a terrible thing, like, oh, I don't want to go into that. So thank you so much for building that, and thank you so much for being on the podcast too. If you guys are watching on video, my dog and my cat have now joined me. So
they're back.
Now it's very crowded on this chair with me. But apparently it's that kind of day. I don't know what this is about, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the podcast and sharing, all of your wonderful knowledge as well as, everything that you do for, your friends and your community and everything too. And so appreciate you.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
yeah, anything that you would like to bring up before we kind of sign off here?
No, I think if I could tie it back to like stress and like the relation to stress, like
Yeah.
our health can stress us out. Like
Yeah.
our health can be a stressor. And so just know that like no matter where you are in your health journey, you're likely not alone. Like there's somebody else out there and it might be hard to find them, but you might be able to find them. But also like just remember that you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
And you, at some point, have to let go of the things that you can't control and do your best to focus on what's going well, what's going right, and what
Yeah.
you have in your power to change. And I think that that takes away a lot of the stress we put on ourselves for not being like perfectly healthy 100% of the time.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it and really appreciate all your advice as well too. So, well, good. I think that this was a great episode, and like I said, I appreciate you again. So, I guess we'll say goodbye to the audience now.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Samantha.
Thank you so much.